in phase 2 of the sermon for holy orders to the priesthood. So thank you for letting me be here and sort of practice with you guys and share with you guys. And I get so much out of these reflections and sharing with you. So thank you for having me today. To me, this gospel is ultimately about how we live out our faith in a way that is pleasing to God, in a way that would make God proud. If we start with verse 10, this almost sounds like the making of a really good joke. 2 men went to the temple, one a Pharisee and one a tax collector. As I've learned in my Education for Ministry class, what makes this even more impactful to me is that I can now fully appreciate what it meant to be a tax collector and a Pharisee in Jesus' time. At first, I thought my sermon would be all about this. I mean, it's dynamic and it's mind-blowing. The Pharisee is the epitome of the goody two-shoes, someone who spends their entire life striving to keep God's commandments and laws and to show others how to do so as well. And the tax collector, well, we don't really have a modern equivalent for this, but in Jesus' time, the tax collector was the ultimate traitor of the Jewish people. He collected taxes on behalf of the nation who conquered and oppressed his own people, using violence and fear, aka Rome. Taxes were collected to only strengthen Rome. So he was their agent, and if that wasn't bad enough, tax collectors had a reputation for being corrupt and dishonest. So going back to verse 10, we can say the 2 men went to the temple to pray. 1, the epitome of living your life perfectly for God, and the other, the most corrupt, dishonest, and hated man in society. Normally, you would know that this first man was the one you were supposed to emulate, but just as in many of Jesus' parables, your mind is blown, your world turned upside down, because it turns out that this seemingly perfect man was not the one who pleased God that day. Then naturally I thought, I need to explain this further. Explain how this Pharisee went so terribly, terribly wrong. I'll admit this was the majority of my second draft. I think I made some excellent points. First, the Pharisee tried to strengthen his relationship with God by being judgmental and ungracious. To me, that would be like one child coming to a parent and saying, I am so glad I am nothing like my brother, who is the most terrible person in the world. And then expecting his parent to not only be proud of him for saying so, but then turn to the other kids around them saying, be more like this child. And if that wasn't bad enough, he said it on purpose in front of the tax collector, essentially using his faith as a weapon in the other person's weakness. Like that child saying this hurtful thing to his brother and being proud that he made him cry. And most damning to me, he did so as a spiritual leader, meaning his words carried more weight and influence because of the position of authority he held. Like the brother being doubly devastated, who was crying because it was his brother, his hero, who made him cry. This point had me so fired up as someone who was working towards becoming a spiritual leader myself. I mean, if you want to be someone who speaks for God here on earth, you better make sure you understand that your words have power and consequence. And using your faith as a weapon is the opposite of loving your neighbor. We can take from 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 9, but take care that this liberty, aka your new freedom in living under Jesus' gospels, does not somehow become a stumbling block to the weak. But in verse 12, when you thus sin against the member of your family, and we're all a family for God's children, and wound their conscience when it is weak, then you sin against Christ. So here I was last Sunday with 6 pages of draft 3, but something kept nagging at me. I took a break, a forced break, called The Demands of Motherhood and an 8-year-old son. And then I read it back to myself. I felt like Jesus kept pulling me back to the first verse of this gospel reading. to some who were confident in their own righteousness and looked down on everyone else. Crap. I realized I was acting just like the Pharisee. I was so confident in my own righteousness that I was looking down on him with judgment and without grace. It is so easy to do, and worse, it feels so good to feel like you have the moral high ground. It's so much easier to criticize than to love. I still feel confident about why he's wrong, but turning into the Pharisee won't make me right. I think if we're being honest with ourselves, we've all been the Pharisee at one point or another. So how do you live out God's faith in a way that is representing God's love well? And stand up for those who are vulnerable, even if they are a tax collector. And hold those who are so confident in their righteousness that they hurt others, like the Pharisee, accountable without becoming the Pharisee yourself. The answer for me simply and frustratingly is love. At first it seems like such an easy thing, but oh man, it's not, is it? Saying to yourself, I'm going to love my enemy, someone whose very way of expressing themselves or choices they make enrage you. It is so hard. Yet that's what Jesus left us with instructions to do. But I also believe that this love doesn't mean letting your enemy walk all over you. And it certainly doesn't mean we're not holding others and ourselves accountable for our actions. But how do you do that with love? Funny enough, that was one of the questions my 8-year-old son asked me on the way to church last week. If God loves all of us, does God love the bad guys too? To him, the answer seemed really strange, but to me, it is deeply comforting. Yes, God loves all of us, even the bad guys, even the ones who make bad choices over and over, even those who are consumed by hatred and spread their pain around. Now, I'm not saying this love means that God is happy with their decisions, or even proud of their choices. In fact, I think God might be truly heartbroken over these choices, but God still loves them, because God knows them deeply to their core, knows what motivated them to behave this way, knows the pain inflicted on them that shaped who they are, and God wants to reconcile them. That means that the parts of me that I like the least, the parts I'm most ashamed of, will never be a reason that God stops loving me. It makes me trust God more, that their love is not something that can change. It is eternal. And I might not think I deserve this love, but it doesn't change the fact that I am both deeply known and loved. And in the end of my explanation, my son still looked like he didn't get it. And I said, that's okay, one day you will. Which brings me back to my original question. How do you live your faith in a way that honors God's love? It reminds me of the bracelets that were so popular when I was a kid. They had the initials WWJD. Do you remember what that was for? Got it. It was supposed to remind you to think about what Jesus would do as your guide in any given situation. I think that's good in theory, but I'll never be able to do what Jesus could do, and I don't think he expects me to. I think we can all agree that way too many leaders have tried to do so and failed. I think Jesus has a full understanding of who I am as a person, what I'm capable of, and what I'm not. And all he wants is for me to strive to make God proud by living into his message of faith to love one another. So instead of WWJD, I came up with WJBP. Would Jesus be proud? And if the answer is yes, then I'm doing the right thing. And if the answer is no, then I need to stop and reevaluate what I'm saying, thinking, and doing. But again, how do you do that? Well, not alone, only with God's help, and maybe 1 Corinthians as your guide. If I speak with human angelic points and angelic ecstasy, but don't love, I am nothing but the creaking of a rusty gate. If I speak God's words with power, revealing all of his mysteries and making everything plain as day, and if I have faith to say to a mountain, jump, and it jumps, but I don't love, I am nothing. If I give everything I own to the poor, and even go to the stake to be burned as a martyr, but I don't love, I've gotten nowhere. So no matter what I say, what I believe, what I do, I'm bankrupt without love. That's 1 Corinthians chapter 13, 1 through 7 from the Message. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast. It is not proud, it does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no records of wrong. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always preserves. Love never fails. That's 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 8 in the New Living Translation. If I strive to ask myself, would Jesus be proud of me in this situation? And if I strive to live my life as proof of this graciously bestowed love, then maybe at the end of the day, I'm on the right track. And all the people said,
Amen.
Amen.